And I'm damned if I do, and I'm damned if I don't. If I say I miss you, I know that you won't. But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun. Something's in the arms tells me we're not done. To you, I'm just a man. To me, you're all I am. Where the hell am I supposed to go? I poison myself again. Something's in the arms tells me you're never coming home. And if you leave today, I'll just stare at the way the orange touches all things around. The grass, trees are due, and how I just hate you. Please turn those headlights around.
Woo! Started with some blues there. Nearly brought a tear to my eye, Jesse. Good to see you as always. How are we doing?
Good. How's everyone doing?
Hope everyone is good in the chat on this Wednesday night in America, Thursday in Asia. Let's have a look at how things are looking in the markets. I mean, we've had quite a lot going on in the last week, right? America have war in the Middle East isn't always good. Well, so it's always teetering on. It's always teetering on war, isn't it? Until the actual, and then actually America bombs Iran. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Okay, so this war kicks off, and stocks and crypto just take these dives, big dives. You know, everyone starts freaking out. Oh my God, the world's gonna end! Sell now! And then, you know, America steps in and says, "No, we're going to put a stop to this," you know. And then there's, you know, talks of, you know, a ceasefire or whatever, and all of a sudden, oh, the war's going to end. Everyone, buy back in, hurry! It's a little silly.
The problem with this is this has been going on since the beginning of time, right? And what I see in human nature is, of course, you can only relate to your slice in time. But the problem is people think that like the world's always going to be, the world has always been on the brink of ending, right? Like if you were living somewhere in probably anywhere in Asia or Central Asia or Europe, however long ago Genghis Khan was around 2,000 years ago, right? He was invading everywhere and the world was ending, and it's been like this forever. Like the world is always on the brink of extinction by the looks of it. So losing your marbles and selling all your crypto or your assets because, I mean, even think back to what? First we had the Gulf Wars. Before that, it was the Cold War, the Korean War, World War II, World War I. It never ends.
It never ends. But I wonder if, like, back in, like, caveman days, and they were, like, trading with seashells.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, Caveman! I heard Caveman 1 is gonna bash Caveman 2 on the head with a rock. Sell all your, trade off all your seashells now. Like, I explain the logic behind any of it. You know?
Well, fear, isn't it? Yeah, maybe if fear stimulates people to do weird stuff, like maybe fast forward a bit, maybe not seashells, but let's say tribes, right? Tribes. Maybe one tribe had wheat, and another tribe had fruits or whatever, I don't know, right? And then they heard, oh, maybe this other tribe's going to get in a war with the other, a third tribe. So maybe we just eat this fruit instead of trying to trade it. I don't know. Like I think fear stimulates people just to not think logically.
Yeah, but it's like it's all this big. It's either institutions doing it, or it's like big giant group think. Everybody, you know, all the minions are doing it, you know. I don't know. I just don't get it. You know, you hold, in my opinion, you just hold for the long run. And wars will come and go. Bad news will come and go. Good news will also come and go. But, you know, I do stand with Fast Abdul a little bit. Like, if the tech is good, and then combine that with people enjoying the tech, because you can have great tech that just nobody cares about, right? But if you have good tech, and then you at least have a community that enjoys that tech, eventually the hope is that would be a good gamble to invest in. It's not going to work out. There's a lot of great companies out there that don't exist anymore.
It's true. It's true. It's not always the best performing bit of tech or anything, right? Function, as we've seen now, it's meme coins have become the thing of, before it was NFTs in 2021, it's meme coins in 2025. When will function and good tech become sexy?
Right. Sometimes I think that people don't, even if something's not successful financially, I think there may be some companies that if they were to make a comeback, if they said, you know what, we're going to reopen our stores, we're going to try round 2, there'd be like this appreciation because people realize what they're missing without that piece of tech. So maybe one example, maybe this is a horrible example, but one thing that comes to mind is, you remember these stores called Radio Shack?
No.
Radio Shack was the store that sold anything from like batteries to circuit boards to computers to radios and TVs. It wasn't quite like a Best Buy, right? It was a very small store. But if you like to tinker on things, or you just liked crazy little new tech, you could go to this little store called
I bet it was right up your alley then, yeah?
Yeah, it's kind of nerdy. Some guys go in there and they buy things to, assemble their own circuit boards or something, right? Or they need to fix some sort of motor, so they go there and they buy the wires and the little capacitors and the stuff they need. And, financially, the company didn't thrive, but there's a lot of documentaries about, out there. And a lot of people would agree that if that store was to come back, it could actually be very successful the second time around, because a place like that is very, very missed in the world. A very niche sort of store built for all the nerdy tech people out there, right? It didn't succeed the first time around. It lasted for, I don't know, a couple decades or something. And they ran out of money. But the second time around, it might be wildly successful. I think there's companies that go under, and there's no, they don't deserve to come back, right? So like Blockbuster, okay, they sell DVDs or rented DVDs and physical movies. So we don't need that in the world anymore, right? Does anybody in the audience even have a DVD player still? No, everything's digital. It's through streaming services and whatnot nowadays, right? And that company didn't adapt and change to the times, to what people liked and needed. So, the consequences of that is they went under, right? And they'll never come back. But I think there are companies that slip through the cracks that have a great technology, that have a small following, deserve a much bigger following, and aren't going to stick around. They're not going to be around forever. Now, in regards to Pulse Chain, and I don't want gloom and doom or anything, but at the moment, Pulse Chain appears to be in that category, right? It's actually a pretty good tech. It's a fork of Ethereum, right? It's got some pretty cool trading platforms. Now it's got a couple really cool block explorers, such as Midgard. It's got lending protocols. It's got all sorts of things that you might find on Ethereum, and you can find them on Pulse Chain, and you can find it cheaper. But it's like this little niche blockchain that has a very strong community, just like Radio Shack did. Okay, but the rest of the world isn't paying attention to it, right? So the question is it going to fall into this trap of like Blockbuster or Radio Shack, where it's not quite like Blockbuster because it's kind of adapted to the times, right? It's literally a fork of Ethereum. It's a good tech, but is it going to be like Radio Shack, where there's a lot, the people who like it really, really like it a lot, but there's just not enough people in the world paying attention to it where it can survive, right? And we hope that's not the case. But this happens. For every 1,000 companies that start, there's probably, one that makes a little bit of success. For every, 1,000 blockchain products that comes out, maybe there's one that's successful. For every however many dozens of blockchains that come out, there can only be so many successful. And is Pulse Chain going to be one of those blockchains that becomes very successful and has lots of money flowing in and new users? It hasn't yet. Will it in the future? That's yet to be determined.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a crazy ride, as we know, right? 2021 sacrifice phase. We thought the blockchain was coming out the next week, 2 more weeks, right? And then that came out in 2023. It's been another 2 years since then, and it's been a mixed bag, right? Because obviously crypto's been going sideways. We've had some pumps, and we still haven't seen the parabolic blow off top or the bull market we thought we'd have in 2025. So I guess we'll only really know when crypto's in a certified bull market, Ethereum's hit new all-time highs, and new people are coming in. But what do you think about what Richard's behavior at the moment, how he's acting, what he's doing? Do you think that's indicative of anything?
I don't think I don't think he's speaking in cryptic messages. Okay? I do think to some degree he knows what the he knows what the community wants. He knows that the community only wants the price to go up. That's all they care about. But I think he's in this position where he feels, unless the community starts doing things for themselves, like he knows that's not going to happen, right? I don't think he wants to be that guy that everyone relies on, that everyone thinks that he's just going to pour all that SAC money right back into right back into everyone's pockets. First off, I don't think he wants to do that. And I don't necessarily think it's because he wants to keep all that money. He doesn't need that much money. But I've always said this from the beginning, for Pulse Chain to be a true success, it literally needs new users and new money. If Richard just pumps his bags back into Pulse Chain, that doesn't mean Pulse Chain's a success. That means everyone got a refund, right? Right? So we want the products on Pulse Chain to be enticing enough that new users keep coming in. Otherwise, the thing can't last forever, right? You can't just expect Richard to just keep buying everyone's bags for years and years and years. You want the thing to actually be a success. You want products that people want to use. They come over here with fresh money. They put their money into these products and play with them and invest with them and so on and so forth. And maybe the number creeps up. And then you can say, wow, look, Richard really did it. He built something that people wanted. He didn't build something that, people would hope that he just gives all his money back to them. He built something that people truly want. And I think in his heart, that's probably what he's desiring. So when he tells people, I don't work for you, go out and do this, maybe start this charity or this 501c3, or maybe send these postcards or whatever. He is grasping at straws a little bit, hoping that the community just does something, right? Instead of sit back waiting for him.
Well, there's many. Well, let's talk about PowerCity. There's many founders and many DeFi outfits, right, that have gone out there and built amazing stuff. Like, I mean, hopefully he's aware that there's stuff like Flex, that there's stuff like Earn. You know, there's lots of utility on Pulse Chain. It's not like a Cardano, right? Or another chain where you've got a chain, but really nothing as much is going on. People are just really betting on the price of that token. Where here, I mean, you've got so many things: Flex, Earn, liquid loans, Fucks, 2Fucks. Actually, talking about this, I'm not sure if you saw this on the news recently, but it says that the Trump administration moves to count crypto as a federal mortgage asset. So that's interesting. That's a step in the right direction, but you could use something like Flex or Earn, right? Or liquid loans if you have enough collateral to get a loan and do anything, and use that to buy a house. So there, again, this is great that maybe TradFi starts allowing people to use crypto to collateralize mortgages, but also you can collateralize loans on with your Hex, with your PulseX, with your Ink tokens, and with your Pulse. So many ways to skin a cat.
Yeah, that's a good start. But if you notice what it said there, only crypto held on exchanges will count, right? So that's not your crypto. You know, somebody else has the keys to that stuff, and all those risks still apply. You know, so if you needed, let's just say this, right? So at least in America, if you wanted to take a loan for a house and you want them to consider some of your assets, you show them your bank accounts, and they need 3 months worth of bank account history. Anything that came into your bank account within 3 months, you need to be able to prove where it came from and show a big paper trail for it, because they want to avoid you borrowing somebody else's money, putting it in your bank account, making it look like you have more money than you actually do, and then obtaining a loan based on that money that you borrowed from somebody else, right? So they like to see money in your, or it's like law, they want to see the money in your account for at least 3 months. Anything that came into your account within 3 months, they need a huge paper trail for. So that being said, you would have to keep your money on an exchange for a long period of time, which has risks, right? And you could, you know, if you had stable coins, for example, in crypto, and you were thinking about buying a house in the future, you could pre-plan at least 3 months in advance. You could cash out some of your stable coins back into that, you know, USDC and then ultimately dollars, and keep them on a bank for more than 3 months. Go get your loan. Okay, they don't need a paper trail for that because it was in there for at least 3 months, just sitting there doing nothing. Get your loan from the bank and then move all that money back through and back into, you know, the stable coins of your choice on Flex or Earn or liquid loans or the Ink printer, and go about your business. Right? You can still do this with the most self custody possible. I would prefer to keep my money in a bank over a crypto exchange if I had a choice between those two, right? Because with a bank, it's FDI insured, and on a crypto exchange, if Sam Bankman-Fried steals all your money, guess what? You just lose it all, unless the courts can recover some of it. And you know, or if they get so-called hacked, it's just gone. Right? There's no insurance. There's no insurance there. It's just gone, right? So for me, it's either I keep my stuff in DeFi, or I keep, you know, what I need to in a bank, and there's no middle. And if there's a middle, like an exchange, it's only for a brief period of time to go from one to the other.
Yeah, I think so. I think, like we talked about, use it to get in and get out, right? But leaving it on there for prolonged periods of time. I'm the same as you. I'd much rather have my money in a bank than on a crypto exchange, because we've seen time and time again that you just can't. I mean, I'm not sure about you, but when I speak to people, and a lot of people are in crypto these days, but they're like, they've dipped their toe in the water, but they're not really in crypto, right? They don't know about hardware wallets. They're holding a lot of, or whatever, a lot for them, on a crypto exchange. And when I say, "Oh, are you okay with that?" They're like, "Yeah," because obviously they think of even something like Coinbase. Yeah, like in my opinion, Coinbase isn't going anywhere. It's proved itself, but you don't know, right? You never know. So
Montgomery Ward proved itself for like 100 years. That was a big retail store. So did this place called Sears. That was a huge store that lasted like 100 years in America. And then one day, or Toys R Us, right? Toys R Us was around probably for about 100 years. And then one day they announced to the world they're closing all their stores. They're bankrupt, right? Well, the same does happen with banks. Banks do come and go. You see these new, modern, hippie, banks pop up all over the place, and you see these old, crusty banks, say, "Oh, we're gonna close down now, or we're gonna sell off to this other place." It happens all the time.
Yep.
Companies come and go. Institutions in general, whether it's a bank, a store, or a crypto exchange, they're not permanent. They only last so long.
Yeah, use it for what it is. It's a tool. It's a tool to get in and get out. But just keeping anything, Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any asset on there long term, and just thinking, "Oh, that's safe as houses," because they have a website and they have customer support, so it should be fine. I don't know about that. I mean, even Coinbase customer support takes a long time, I think, to get back to you and whatever. So yeah, everything's a risk, but I'd rather risk it on myself and know that I'm going to store seed phrases properly and hardware wallets. And if you're using, a separate laptop for your crypto transactions and you have a hardware wallet, you basically have two layers, right? Because obviously if you're just using one single, I'm not sure what people do, but when I first started in crypto, I used my laptop for everything. And then I thought, well, this could be a little bit, because you're using it daily. You're connecting to Wi-Fi outside in cafes and Starbucks and whatever. So I took the advice to use a separate laptop, and then obviously I use hardware wallets too. So you've got two layers of security there, and as long as you're not putting your seed phrase into weird websites or getting caught with phishing scams, which you shouldn't be doing if you've been in crypto for a while. Yeah, it's a lot safer than just having it on an exchange. Getting crypto security should be the first thing someone learns. It's like, don't run before you can walk. And then once you know that self-custody, then that's when you can start using Flex, Earn, Ink Printer, all these dApps where I mean, for people that don't know, right, Jesse, these are running indefinitely. No one's coming in here to maintain these. These run automatically.
They can never be shut down. So even if the website were to disappear, if one day somebody logs into flex.powercity.io and they just get a simple error message across their screen, website doesn't exist anymore. You can still go to the blockchain explorer and you can interact with those contracts, and you can stake and unstake, withdraw your coins, do whatever you want in there. And anybody is welcome to spool up their own front ends to these things. They're relatively simple front ends. Like people can even copy the existing one that we're looking at right now and change some colors around and launch their own. And even if they wanted to, maybe draw an additional fee or something on top if they wanted to, for the service of running that. And nobody's done that quite yet. It could be lucrative, in a strong bull market for people to do that. Maybe people are prepared to do that, but they're just waiting, so they don't have to pay a server costs, which are pretty cheap, but so they don't have to pay server costs, in a while. But no, it can never be shut down. It can never be stopped.
As we've seen with Liquidity on Ethereum, where they don't have a front end now, but they saw, if you go to their website, they'll say there are all these different decentralized front ends. I think we talked about this last week, but yeah, some of them may be from them, but on the whole, you have multiple different ones you can choose from, some more basic than others. But the bottom line is, yeah, this isn't going down. Even if the website goes down, other people can run their own front end. As we've seen with Amplifier, right? At the Amplifier dApp, which can be a front end for liquid loans or for the Earn protocol. Again, you can run really, really interesting automatic strategies, or you can just use it to open a vault, add to the stability pool, stake your tokens, compound, and use the compound all button too.
Right. If other people spooled up a Liquidity front end, or you could call it a Flex or an Earn or an Ink printer, or a Liquid Loans front end. If other people did that, I would be, I think I would likely push with the other founders to have our main page list all those links out.
Yeah.
Hey, use it, go look at these other, just like Liquidity did. Look, here's a list of all the available front ends the community's built. And who cares which one people use? Because somebody might prefer one over another because the boxes look different, the way it feels, or the colors, or whatever. But at the end of the day, they all do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. So why would we care which website you use? We would be prone to just list them all for you to select and you to choose them. Just like kind of we did with, we've got our bridge aggregator.
Yeah.
So with Portal X, you list out the tokens that you want to trade from one chain to another, and it lists out all the available choices for you to go from point A to point B. And it tells you what those fees are going to be and the rate you're going to get and whatnot. And you select it, right? We're not even running it. We're not even running any of those bridges or any of those dexes. It's simply displaying all the choices to you. It would be cool someday to be able to do that with these Liquidity forks and say, look, we're not even running one, but here's all the available ones that you can choose from that the community's decided to run. They're just websites. The code is forever stuck on the blockchain, but here's the different websites that will interact with that code. That would be a nice spot to be in someday.
Yeah, I mean, it would be to have, obviously, hopefully as Pulse Chain grows and people want this to be even more decentralized and to spool their own front ends, that would definitely make it even safer. Like we see, like Liquidity, you've got all those different front ends you can deal with.
Right.
But,
and if anybody out there is listening and they would like to spool up a front end, look, listen, reach out. We might even be able to provide you some of the building blocks so you can easily do that.
Cool. We'll reach out if you're in the chat. There you go. You can put crypto have crypto on the exchange and maybe use that to get a mortgage, or you could do it yourself, either using Earn protocol, Flex protocol, Liquid Loans, or Ink printer. Anything else, Jesse, you want to touch on before we wrap this up?
No, it's getting hot out there. Enjoy your summer. What I find with summer is there's tons of work to be done, because that's when, like, if you got a family or a wife that likes to garden and stuff, that's when you have to do all the yard chores. But don't forget to get out there and go swimming or go play ball or all the other fun summer activities that you don't get to do when it's super cold out.
Exactly. Stop checking the charts.
Yep.
Cheers, man.
See y'all.
Thanks for watching, guys. Oh, wrong person on the screen. Thanks for watching, guys. And for any of the live PowerCity dApps, you can find the correct link below. We'll catch you on the next one.